This call is being recorded.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. As you guys know, I always like to start my calls off with a quote. So tonight's quote is going to be, "When you patiently believe in that which doesn't exist, you create it." I'm going to read that again. When you patiently believe in that which doesn't exist, you create it. And that quote is by Nikos Kazantzakis. Now, if you guys were ever curious on whether or not fortune tellers could really forecast the future, tonight you're going to learn how you can predict your own future. So I want to start off by thanking everyone for listening. I respect and I appreciate your time and your commitment to improving yourself. Throughout the week, I get so many calls from people that are so appreciative for these calls, but let me tell you, I'm the one that's appreciative of your time and for just having the opportunity to be able to do these calls. Because in my preparing for these calls, it really just even further cements in the information that I've learned and that I've decided to share with all of you guys. Let me go over a couple things real quick before we go ahead and get started with tonight's call. The playback number for anyone, if you want to go back and listen to any of the old messages, to last week's message, or by tomorrow will be tonight's message. Or if you have someone that didn't, for some reason, wasn't able to get on the call because the call was full, they can go back and listen to it at 718-867-6700, or they can download the message at bit.ly/power120114. All this will also be on my Facebook too, and then you'll also get a message from the text message service with this information if you miss it. You can also go to powerinAhalfhour.com. That you can see all the old calls are on there. Or for those of you that have an iPhone or have iTunes, you can subscribe to the calls in the iTunes store. We're also on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podomatic, pretty much everywhere where podcasts are kept. You can go there and find us there. For everyone that's on Facebook, please go ahead and friend me. If we're not friends already, my name on Facebook is Mark Starr, MarkStarr. We have a Power in a Half Hour group. Make sure that you send me a message or try to find that group and request to be added in that group. What we're doing between now and the end of the year is I'm asking everyone to post in there. And I know that some of you guys haven't, and I was blocked from posting in groups because I'm in so many groups. So now I'm unblocked. So now I'm going to start calling you guys out. I want everyone to post in there a goal that they would like to accomplish between now and the end of the year, and a fear that they would like to overcome. So for me, my goal is to release a book by the end of the year. And then the fear that I'm going to overcome is I'm going to get on that Ferris wheel in downtown Atlanta in Centennial Park. So I know if I'm going to do that, I expect you guys to do something as well. So, and then the last announcement I'm going to make is a Lady Named Pearl's book club. For those of you that missed the call last night, it was a phenomenal call. We discussed psycho-cybernetics. And, man, I'm going to tell you, that was really the highlight of my week. Pearl, you're doing a great job with those calls. I really highly suggest that you guys go ahead and join the group. And not only join the group, make sure you read the book of the month, and make sure you participate and ask questions in the group. The book for this month is going to be As a Man Thinketh. It was a book written by a British writer in 1902. And as you can tell, for those of you that have studied the Bible and whatnot, he took the title of the book from a verse in Proverbs, As a Man Thinketh, so is he. So, I mean, this book is a phenomenal book. I've probably thumbed through the book, but I haven't read the book yet. But I was doing a little research on the book today, and I found a couple quotes that I just wanted to share with you from this book. I mean, this book right here, he's one of the fathers of the whole self-help movement. So I'm really excited to get in and read this book. But some of the quotes that I got from doing a little research on this book earlier today was, Men do not attract what they want, but what they are. How true is that? I know so many times throughout the years I've always complained about some of the people that I've attracted into my life, but then I had to realize that in order for me to attract better people, I had to become a better person. Another quote is, "A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts." Wow, how powerful is that? Right thinking begins with the words we say to ourselves. And then the last quote is, "Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound." Wow. None of us are bound, though, because all of us are on this call trying to improve ourselves. Last announcement is, if you're not a part of Be Better Daily, text BBETTERDAILY to 411247. Okay, let me go ahead and jump in because we got a lot to cover tonight, and we only have 23 more minutes. So I have a question for all of you. What is the best way you can tell who a person really is? The answer to that is by what they do. So recently I was reading a book called The Zone. It's a book about peak performance. And one of the key points that I got while I was reading that book was that if we slip up while we're on a diet plan or eating plan, or we're always only one meal away from getting back in the zone. So even if we fall out of the zone in accomplishing our goals and dreams and being the leader that we all are, we are always only one action away from getting back into that zone. Isn't that amazing? A lot of times we give ourselves such a hard time because we end up lousing up, or we end up falling out. I know people that are, usually hear this with people that are on diets, or people with certain habits. You know, if they're trying to quit smoking or drinking, or doing anything that you want to change that habit, we get so mad at ourselves because we end up lousing up. But guess what? We're always only one action away from getting back into that correct zone. So just by changing our thoughts, our words, and behaviors, we can get back into that peak performance zone, the leader zone, the success zone. Now, if a person does the things that a leader does as of this moment, what does that mean? It means that they're a leader. Even if you haven't been a leader before, once you step into that zone, you are now a leader. And the reason being is that you are what you do. So if right now you are acting as a leader and a super successful person, then that's exactly what you are. Isn't that amazing? That's exactly what you are. Now, the only question I have is how long, the only question after that is how long do you stay in that success zone? So regardless of what we've done before in our past, as of this very moment, we are all leaders and we are all super successful people. We are in the success zone. The only thing you have to do to stay in the success zone is continue doing what successful people do. And that's what we're doing right now. The only way to come out of this zone is for you to stop with what you're doing now. The amazing thing is that if you stop for some reason, you are always one action away from jumping back into that success zone. Now, so let's review this real quick. If you act like a successful person, think like a successful person, and do what success people do, then what? Guess what? You're a success. Now, the reason I can say that everyone on this call is in the success zone is because successful people spend time daily reading and improving themselves, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So everybody on this call is a success. Now, I've spent a lot of time over the last 5 years studying successful people. I've read hundreds, maybe even thousands of books, essays, courses on success. And what I've come to realize is that if we can just find out and do what other successful people do, then we can stay in the success zone. So from all the research I've done, the number one quality, this is the number one quality out of everything that I've studied of successful people is vision. You heard me. It's vision. Successful people can see the future. They have long-term perspectives. Now, There was a research study done by Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard University. He later on turned it into a book called The Heavenly City Revisited, in which he studied upward social mobility. Now, upward social mobility is what causes people to rise up through classes over the years, over socioeconomic classes over the years. So in this study, Dr. Banfield found that there are 7 socioeconomic categories in America, and they are lower class, upper lower class, lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class, lower upper class, and upper class. Now, each one of these classes have specific characteristics, specific values, specific likes and dislikes, specific taste, specific levels of education, and specific activities and so on. Now, what Dr. Banfield concluded was that if you acted in a manner consistent with that level, you became that class. That's why we are who we spend the most of our time with. Now, you guys have heard me say that, and I put so much emphasis over the last few weeks on being careful around the people that we spend a lot of our time with. So if you hang with people that are in that lower socioeconomic class that don't want to get better, guess what? Guess who becomes who? You become just like them. You adapt to the class that they're in. Now, Dr. Banfield also realized that the attitude that most predicted upward mobility and success in America was long-term perspective. So the people who rose in their fields thought long-term, and those who didn't rise had short-term perspective. People with short-term perspective are always thinking about the here and now. They never think about the future. All they're thinking about is just getting by today, getting by this moment, pleasure this moment. People that are successful, the one thing that differentiated the successful people from the unsuccessful people and people in all those different classes was long-term perspective. So just the act of thinking long-term dramatically increases the likelihood of great success. Successful people have a vision of the future, and successful people can visualize an ideal future. Successful people are always visualizing where they want to be in 3 to 5 years. Now, have you ever noticed that whenever you didn't have a plan in life, you usually remain stuck? And that's so funny because as we were talking on the call last night, one of the young ladies that was on the call had made an observation that years ago she had like a 5-year plan, and she ended up accomplishing all of her goals in that 5-year plan. And then once she stopped having a plan, then she kind of fell into this funk or into this zone. And that has happened to me many of times. Anytime that I've had I said, okay, even though like I just really started writing out, maybe over the last few years, I just started writing out goals and really focusing heavy on my goals. You know, before that, if I might have had a goal, a specific goal or something that I wanted to accomplish, and then the moment that I accomplished that goal and I didn't set another goal, I just got stuck, and I stayed stuck until I figured out that I needed to set another goal. So because we're all successful, we're going to do an exercise that will help to keep us in this zone. It was Peter Drucker that said, the best way to predict the future is to what? Create the future. So we're going to predict and create our future right now. Now, for those of you that are taking notes, that have a piece of pen and paper, I want you to go ahead and write these out. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to write these out. If you can answer them, answer them. If not, then go ahead and after this call, put a little thought into it and start answering these questions. Now, first of all, I want everyone to close their eyes and imagine that you're in a room inside a spaceship that goes into a time warp. If any of you remember the movie Back to the Future, imagine that you're in Michael J. Fox's DeLorean. That's that fancy car that he had when that movie came out. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Now open your eyes. 5 years has passed. You're in the exact same place. Everything looks exactly the same as it did 5 years ago when you left. Even that cup of water still sitting next to you is right there. In that 5 years, something amazing has happened. Your life has happened exactly the way you would like for it to. A miracle has happened. Your life is now perfect. All your dreams have been fulfilled, and all your goals have been achieved. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, guess what? It is. But here's the question that I have for you. The first question, what would it look like if every one of your goals and dreams were accomplished in the 5 years? I'm going to repeat that for you. Like I said, if you have the opportunity to answer that question now, go ahead and answer it. If you want to take a little time and just write down the question so you can go back and answer it in the future, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to repeat the question. What would it look like if every one of your goals and dreams were accomplished in 5 years? What would it look like, people? I know for me it's going to look amazing. For you too. Number 2, where would you be in 5 years? Like physically, where would you be in 5 years? For me, it's going to be on some island, sitting on the beach, drinking a pina colada. All right? Number 2, where would you be in 5 years? Number 3, who would you be with? Remember, that's such an important question. Who would you be with? Number 4, and probably even more important than number 3, who would you no longer be with? I want you guys to put some real thought into these questions. This is the roadmap for your future. Who would you no longer be with? Number 5, what would you be doing? 5 years from now, if all your goals, all your dreams, everything happened the way that you would want it to happen, what would you be doing? Number 6, how well would you be doing it? For me, that's not that hard. I'm going to be chilling really hard on the beach. Now, I'm going to be doing other stuff too, speaking. I'm going to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now, except for I'm going to spend more time on the beach, on the water. How much would you be earning? What would you like to be earning 5 years from now? Number 8, what level would you be at in your profession? I'm going to repeat that. What level would you be at in your profession? Number 9, what kind of home would you live in? Remember now, all your dreams, they've come true. What kind of home would you be living in? Number 10, what kind of car would you be driving? I don't even think I have a piece of paper long enough to write down all the cars I'm going to be driving. But what kind of car would you be driving? Number 11, what would be the level of your physical fitness and health? That's such an important question. Because if you plan to make a lot of money and be very successful, you've got to live a healthy life. And let me tell you, I don't care what position that you're in right now. I don't care what the doctors say you have. You can change that. And I'm going to tell you guys a short little story. For those of you that know me personally, I've had diabetes for the last 10, 11 years. Now, I made up my mind, and when I sat there and wrote out my goals this year, I made up my mind that I was going to, and I had seen studies on it, that you can heal yourself from diabetes. And I made up my mind that I was going to do that. That's one of my goals. I didn't necessarily say I was going to do it this year, but I said I'm going to heal myself from diabetes. Now, over the last probably about 5 or 6 months, I have dramatically changed my diet, my exercise routine, just everything that I've done. I've completely changed. And I went to the doctor right before I went out of town the week before last. I went to the doctor just to get a checkup. I went and got this health insurance. I got to pay all this money every month. So I said, you know what, I need to go ahead and start using it. And I went to the doctor, just to get a checkup. and whatnot. And the doctors, they're telling me how I'm telling him that I'm about to cure my diabetes. So he's like, yeah, that's all good. Prayer, that's all good, but nah, you need to take this medicine. I'm like, well, I don't know about that because I'm about to cure my diabetes, you know? And if I allowed him to, he would have talked me out of it. So he was like, all right, well, I'm not going to prescribe any medicine for you yet, but we're going to go ahead and, so they took my blood, they checked my blood came back regular, like a normal person. He's like, well, sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes your blood could drop, but we're going to go ahead and do this A1C test. And then after that comes back, I'm going to go ahead and prescribe. He's telling me about all the medicine he's about to prescribe me on. Well, anyway, I called the doctor today. This is a true story. On Everything I Love, this is a true story. I called the doctor today. I asked the nurse for my results. She comes back and she says that she says everything looks good. I said, well, what's my A1C reading? She's like a 5.1. I said, well, what's the average for a normal person? She's like, a normal person? You're not normal? I said, yeah, I have diabetes. You have diabetes. She's like, the normal range is anywhere from 4.0 to 5.9 or 5.6. And mine is a 5.1. I beat my diabetes. But if I never wrote down that goal, I would never have accomplished it. All right, let me continue on. Number 12, what would your family and relationships look like? That's such an important one. What would your family and relationships look like? Number 13, how would your children be doing? Now, I hope you guys were able to write all these down. If not, I hope someone can write them down and post them on my Facebook page, and you can go back or send me a message, and I'll send these questions to you. But you know what? Answer these questions. Now, there are two things that I can tell you for sure. 5 years will pass, and 5 years from now, there you will be. Now, if you are crystal clear about what it is that you would like for 5 years from now to look like, your chances on making that a reality go up 1,000%. Did you guys hear me? If you are crystal clear about what you want the next 5 years to look like, your chances of making that happen go up 1,000%. Now tell me, is that not being able to predict the future? All you have to do is know what you want the future to look like. All successful men and women have a vision of the future. This is a technique that is used by major corporations called strategic intent. Now, strategic intent, all it is just figuring out where you want your life to be in 5 to 10 years from now, and what type of person you will have to be, and what skills will you have to develop to have that life 5 years from now. If you can define that clearly today, you develop long-term perspective, which will dramatically increase your likelihood of getting there 1,000%. The major reason why people move ahead, successful people move ahead, is because they're crystal clear about where they want to go. And the major reason why most people don't move ahead in life is because they have no idea where it is that they want to go. That's why it's so important that you write these questions down and fill it out. Write down exactly where you would want to be in 5 years if you could make everything happen. Don't put any limitations on yourself. It's kind of like trying to go to If we're here in Georgia, well, for those of you, for those of you that aren't here in Georgia, but for those of us that are here in Georgia, and if we're trying to go to California, can we go to California if we don't have a map or GPS? We need a map or GPS. And that's what writing all this stuff down is. It's our map and our GPS that's going to get us to California. If we don't have that, we might end up in New York. We might end up back in Florida. Successful people think about the future. Average people think about the present. Average people think about tension-relieving activities rather than goal achievement. Now, I had a couple little techniques that I wanted to share with you, but we're about to run out of time. I want to bring somebody on the call. Elgin, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. You hear me?
Okay, all right. This is one of the guys that has been on every single one of the calls. A phenomenal guy. He's I talked about him maybe 2 weeks ago. He's a trainer and a world class chef. And me and Elton calls me every week and runs ideas by me. And he called me last week, I think before I went out of town, and he gave me this one of the things he said, and I'll let him tell his story, but he was talking about how he's traveled the world. And well, Elton, go ahead and share your story with everyone. I just thought it was so amazing that I really wanted you to come on and share it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark, man. I appreciate being a part of the call and a part of what you're doing, man. I believe it's great, which is why I'm here every week. And I also tell all my friends and stuff like that. A lot of them are probably on the call now. But as far as my story, I've been fortunate. I've been, to just about every continent except Africa. And the way I did it was a lot like what Mark talks about. I saw myself doing it, and I just eliminated excuses. I didn't tell myself, well, I didn't make enough money, or I don't have the time to get off work. And instead of thinking like that, I started thinking about, okay, this is where I am, this is what I want. How do I get from point A to B? And then I started putting my plan into action. And what I like to do is a principle that I've labeled, and it's called the seed principle. Because it's very difficult to reap a harvest in ground that you don't sow seeds in. So for me, to be able to travel internationally, to be able to do a lot of the things that I've been fortunate enough to do is because I put the seed out there. I actually just took the time to reach out and aim at those things. A lot of people don't accomplish things because they just make an excuse for themselves and they ride that wave instead of just thinking, well, if there's others that have done it with less resources, less time, less energy, less ability, if they were able to pull it off, then why can't I? And so I took that approach. And I take that approach with everything. So that's one of the ways that I've been able to go to Japan, Brazil, Dubai, Germany a few times, Dominican Republic several times, Amsterdam, among a few other places. And that's the exact way I plan on doing the same thing, starting in the next few years, to continue my travels, to continue to educate myself, continue to
tell them about
cultivate.
that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we short on time, so I want you to tell them real quick about that idea that you have, real quick. And this is the idea that he came up with, that he's about to utilize to continue touring the world.
All right. So one thing I was like, man, how am I going to tour the world? I'm pressed for time, just like anybody else. I'm pressed for money. So I said, well, I see people doing a lot of GoFundMe projects. If they have something they want to do. And what they'll do is, they give them a story, they give the people a story and also tell them how they're going to benefit. So I said, well, a lot of my clients love my cooking. A lot of people are inspired by the way that I travel and move around the world, people from my neighborhood and stuff like that. A lot of people always reach out to me and they want to be a part of what I'm doing. So I give the opportunity for people to travel the world with me by creating a GoFundMe page and letting people know where I'm going next and give them an opportunity to sow seeds with me and go to those places with me. And the way that I'll give back to them is through videos, through online cookbooks, through actually sharing the experience with some people who I can get to and actually cook for during an event. So, Italy is one of my places. I want to go and do a culinary tour in Italy, France, Africa, and the Mediterranean. So that's my aim. You'll see my fan page going up on Facebook real soon, and you also see my GoFundMe going up on all my social media sites, and then you're welcome to come travel the world with me.
Awesome. Hopefully I'll be able to come in and meet you in a couple of those places. But that's such an awesome testament that, he didn't allow the fact that he might not have the physical money right now to stop him from doing what it is that he wants to do. So I just want you guys to really kind of start thinking outside the box about, what it is that you really want, what it is, where do you see yourself, and how you can go about making that happen. Now, real quick, because we're short on time, does anybody else want to chime in or has a comment or or just wants to add anything? Press star to unmute yourself.
Hey, Mark. This is Charlotte. I posted those questions on the Facebook page. I want to make sure that I got them all right.
Okay.
All right, so I've got, where would I be in 5 years? Who would I be with? Who would I no longer be with? What would I be doing? How well would I be doing it? how much would I be earning, what level would I be in my profession, what kind of home would I live in, what kind of car would I be driving, what would be the level of my physical fitness and health, what would my family relationships look like, and was the last one, what will the children be doing? Is that what was the last one?
Yeah, for those of you that have children, how would your children be doing?
Ah, got it.
All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to add? Thank you for that too, Charlotte. I appreciate that so much. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add?
Hello?
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 Yes, go ahead, sir.
So this is Mike Ben.
Mike, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, man, I just wanted to chime in saying basically I've listened to you for the past 3 weeks, and it's just amazing how motivating you are. And I definitely feel you because I was one of those people that walked away from a lot to pursue my dream. And my dream is slowly but surely coming together. I've been walking out on faith just listening to your inspiring talk, man. So I've been telling my friends about you.
Oh, man, awesome. Thank you, Mike. I so appreciate that. And Mike is really fun. Like, Mike has been trying to get me to listen to his comedy for a long time. And, you know, I get a lot of people always trying to get me to listen. I'm like, I haven't listened. But I actually watch, and Mike is really, really funny. I guarantee that you guys, if Mike goes ahead and continue to pursue what he's doing, I guarantee you guys are going to see him on TV in the next couple of years. I promise you. So we're gonna. I'm just so excited because we're gonna have like so many people from these calls that are gonna reach out there and do some really amazing things. And man, I'm gonna be able to say I know you guys. So it's awesome for me. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and close the call out. Playback number 718-867-6700. You guys can subscribe to the podcast in the iTunes store. Share these calls with at least 3 people. I know that each and every one of you knows 3 people that needed to hear what we talked about tonight. So please go ahead and share these calls with at least 3 people. And the quote that I want to end with is, goals are means to an end, not the ultimate purpose of our lives. They are simply a tool to concentrate our focus and move us in a direction. The only reason we pursue goals is to cause ourselves to expand and grow. Achieving goals by themselves will never make us happy in the long term. It's who you become. Let me repeat that. It's who you become as you overcome these obstacles necessary to achieve your goals that can give you the deepest and most long-lasting sense of fulfillment. And that's from Anthony Robbins. Thank you, guys. I will see you guys next week. Make sure you join that Power and a Half Hour group and post your fear and your goal that you'd like to accomplish and the fear that you'd like to overcome by the end of the year. Thank you.